We want to look at another meeting tonight, and we're going to respond to Myles Ketelsen. And I've titled this meeting tonight, Contradictions. As we go through this meeting, of course, we want to welcome everyone. We are a doctrinal and theological investigative study of biblical issues. And so tonight we want to look at Myles again, and we're going to for a few more meetings. We're going to look at some of the things that Myles says, and so tonight we want to look at another chart that Myles has done on this very subject. And so we want to look at it carefully to see about his redemptive history as a visual aid on these charts. And so we're looking at a new one tonight and comparing it with the other one we haven't covered yet. And we're going to look at it carefully because I see contradictions in the very things that Myles says and the charts he's put together and uses. So we're going to look at that tonight. And here's one of his charts that says the Sabbath in redemptive history. And so he has it laid out there. Now, I know that Myles will snuff it off as being questions irrelevant. We know that. But as we look at the charts and what he has on the charts, we should be able to ask questions about what does this mean? What does that mean? And so we're going to do that. Now, this is a newer chart I haven't used yet, but Myles has put this chart together. And so we want to look at it carefully. So I'm going to ask some questions about this chart. And then we're going to compare this chart with his other chart. Because I want the truth. And if Myles is sharing the truth, I want that. Don't you want the truth? And so we're going to look at it carefully. So we're going to start off by asking the viewers this question. Viewers, how do you interpret this chart? That's a very important question, very relevant question. Here's the chart. And so I would ask the viewers, how do you interpret this chart? And I think that's a very relevant question. We should have the right to ask questions about the chart, don't you think? Are we just to automatically accept it without asking questions? Well, what does this mean, or what does that mean? Because we're going to get into that. So I'm asking the viewers that's watching this video, I'm asking the viewers, how do you interpret this chart? So what I would suggest is, when you look at this video, look at this chart carefully and sit down and begin to ask questions or look at it to see, well, what is this or what is that? And evaluate it, examine it. Because if you have the truth, there's no reason why we can't ask questions to go further into what the truth is actually saying about these charts. So I'm going to ask a question right off the bat. In sequential order, we're going to go through it systematically. We're going to look at it carefully. We're going to break it down. And so I'm going to ask the question, is this first day the same day of the week as this seventh day? Now that's a very relevant and important question. Here's the chart, here's the order, first day, then he goes to the seventh day. So my question is this first day the same day of the week as this seventh day? Okay? Or is this first day a different day of the week than this seventh day? Now, what's wrong with those questions? Can you tell me anything wrong with those questions? They're not trap questions, they're honest questions as to what he has on the chart. So I'm just simply asking, or is this first day a different day of the week than this seventh day? Now let's move on. Is this seventh day the same day of the week as this first day? Or is this seventh day a different day of the week than this first day? Anything wrong with those questions? Do you honestly see anything wrong with the very questions I'm asking about the chart? I want to repeat that. Or is this seventh day a different day of the week than this first day? Is this first day, right here, is this first day the same day of the week as this first day? Now, I think that's a very reasonable question. Do you think that's a reasonable question? I don't see anything wrong. What about the viewers? Do you see anything wrong with the questions that I'm asking about the very things he has on the chart? Boy, I would hate to think you could go through all your years of school from kindergarten all the way up to high school, then 4 years of college, then 3.5 years or 4 years of seminary, and not be able to ask questions about what's brought up. I would sure have a problem with that, wouldn't you? Especially if somebody's teaching this particular thing. I guess so many people just believe it. I guess so many out there that are following Myles just believes what he's saying must be correct. But I don't. I'm asking questions. Okay? So, is this first day the same day of the week as this first day? That is in the weekly cycle. Is it the same? Or is this first day a different day of the week than this first day? Now again, I want to ask. The viewers could look at the chart, interpret it, study it. You could write down what you think it means, and then come in the comment section and tell me what you believe it means. Nothing wrong with that. So, is this first day a different day of the week than this first day? Now let's go a little further. Is this first day the first day of the week? We're asking that question about this first day. Is this first day the first day of the week? Then I'm going to ask the same question over here. Is this first day the first day of the week? Are these two first days the same day in the weekly cycle? A very important question. The same day. Or are these two first days a different day in the weekly cycle? It's either yes it is, or no it's not. It's something different. You know, they're very simple questions. They're not hard, complicated questions. Myles wants to look at it as brain busters. These aren't brain busters. They're just simply asking simple questions. That's what it is. Very simple question. What makes it a brain buster is the fact that they don't want to answer these simple questions. They're confused about their own charts. The followers of Myles are confused about what these charts are even saying. You see? So then we need to ask the question here. Is this Sunday? Now, is that hard and a difficult question to answer? It either is or it isn't. Very simple question. Is this Sunday? So I'm going to ask the same question down here. Because both of them are titled on his chart, First Day. So is this Sunday down here, is this Sunday? I mean, this first day, is this Sunday? This first day down here, is this Sunday? So let's take it a step further. Is this Sunday the first day of the week? So let's ask it down here. Is this Sunday the first day of the week? So let's take it a little further. If not Sunday, my simple question is, what day is it? If it's not Sunday, what day is it? Now, do you think, and I would hope the viewers would answer this honestly, do you think that these aren't relevant questions? There's the chart, there's the days, and of course you have the privilege to think however you want. Is this first day a Sabbath day? That's a very important question. So I'm asking, is this first day a Sabbath day? Is this Sunday, the first day of the week, a Sabbath day? You'd almost think that looking at the chart, when you see the same terminology there, the same words, first day, and then first day, I think you would almost think they must be talking about the same day. I would think so. I would think so. But evidently maybe not. But I would think so. Is this Sunday, the first day of the week, a Sabbath day? Now that would be if you assumed or whatever that this is a Sabbath day. Or is this first day the seventh day of the week? That's interesting, isn't it? He calls this first day, and of course we know that has reference to Adam and Eve. He mentions those things. So I'm just asking, is this first day the seventh day of the week? And is this first day a Sabbath day? Now we got both charts on the board. And I'm going to ask it very clearly. According to one chart, the first day is a Sabbath day. How do I know that? Well, here's the first day, right there. And this says it's a Sabbath day. Right here. Right there. So, this must be also a Sabbath day, correct? Because that there is referring to that day, right there. And he says that's a Sabbath day. Okay. So according to one chart, the first day is a Sabbath day. According to this chart over here, right here, according to this chart, are these two different days according to the weekly cycle or the same day? Which? Now that's a very relevant question. Right here, reference to this first day and this first day. So according to the chart, this chart over here, this chart right here, are these two different days according to the weekly cycle or the same day? Which? See, I would really like for them to answer the questions. They're not going to answer the questions. But for people who are looking and studying it seriously and examining the charts seriously, they're going to see exactly what I'm talking about. But if they don't want to and they ignore it, that's their business. But for those who are searching to know what the chart's all about, they could sit down and go through the chart themselves. And they could ask questions themselves. The point I'm making at this point is that I can't defend Myles' teachings. Now, if I could defend these teachings, I would be what Myles is. I would follow him right into what he's teaching. But they can't even get past answering any of my questions to help me clarify it, to understand what the charts are really saying. So, let's think about it. This first day here is this first day right there. Pre-fall. That's it. Right there. Okay? So according to this chart, is the first day a different day than the seventh day according to the weekly cycle or the same day? Which? So, let's look at it. Is this first day, this chart, is this first day the same day as the seventh day on the chart or a different day? So which is it? The Myles and the critics that follow him, they're not going to answer these questions. Like I said, but for the sincere, honest person that's looking at it carefully, they're going to sit down and they're going to look at the charts carefully. So according to this chart here now, this chart right here, according to this chart, is the seventh day a different day than this seventh day according to the weekly cycle or the same day? Which? So in other words, he's got another seventh day right here. Is this seventh day the same day as that seventh day or a different day? Is this seventh day the same on this chart as this seventh day or a different day? Which is it? Now see, that's very relevant because he's got these days on his chart, so we're just asking, which is it? Is it the same seventh day all the way through or different seventh days all the way through? So let me ask, is that a relevant question? Is that An honest question. So which is it? So according to this chart, is the first day a different day than the seventh day according to the weekly cycle, or the same day? So I'm going to ask the question again. Which is it? They can't say that, well, I ask a question, but I don't give them time to look at it, or no. We're going to look at it carefully. I remember when I took classes in college, I'd have questions and I'd ask questions right there in the class. The professor may have to go over something, and he would. He'd go, oh yeah, okay, let's go back here and let's look at this again and let's talk about it. That's it. But see, the problem with the critics, they're like trolls. They come in on something for a little bit and then they head out and they think they've got you on those things. That's what they do. Now let's go back to this full chart here. According to this chart, this word right here, you can't see it very well, but it's the resurrection. Right here, resurrection. Now, I just circled it. I didn't write anything, I just circled the area I'm talking about so you could see it clearly. And so this word right here is resurrected. So according to this chart, is the resurrection day on the same day as the crucifixion? I didn't draw this chart. This is Myles' chart. I would have done it differently. I would have made these charts entirely different. Because the way these charts are made are very confusing. See, because look, this is his line, not mine. He's got resurrected right here. Then he's got this line going right up here to what? The cross. So my point is this day he was resurrected, Jesus was resurrected, is that on the same day that he was crucified? But that's the way he's got it on the chart. And of course, the critics will say, man, you're sure being detailed and nitpicking. Well, wait a minute. Time out. Isn't that what the critics do? They try to tear everything down, Seventh-day Adventists say. I think of that kind of like the political scene we're in today, too. When one candidate's going right, they go left. When one candidate goes north, they go south. Doesn't matter what the issue is. They could care less what the truth is. That's kind of the way the critics are. They're really that way. Like I've told you, I simply want the truth. And I really mean that. I'm not just saying that. It was God's truth that led me into this. I want the truth. So here he has resurrected, and that line goes straight up here. Shouldn't the resurrection be over here? At least to the right somewhere. Correct? Wouldn't you think? So according to this chart, is the resurrection day on the same day as the crucifixion? Enough's been said about that. They'll have to try to do something with that. But like I said, I would make the chart entirely different. Make it more clarification. So somebody asked me, I had a friend one time that was an Army Ranger. He landed in Grenada. And I remember when I first met this guy, he drew a chart on the board. And after the meeting was over, I said to him, now, what is this here point? And he looked at it, and I said, now, what is this point over here? And what is this point? And you see, by asking those questions to the very point and diagram he made on the board, it made him think, well, maybe I got a problem with that. Or maybe I got a problem with this. Yeah, maybe I got a problem with this. Sometimes people don't even see their own problems till somebody points them out. But an honest person will correct it. An honest person will fix it. So when you carefully examine Myles' chart, you see contradictions. You literally see contradictions. Put the charts side by side, and even alone you see contradictions. There they are side by side. Now, if these charts are the truth, should there be any contradictions? If it's truth, I don't think so. You could even apply that principle to the Bible writers. If one person takes this text to pit against this text, is Paul contradicting Paul? Or should we harmonize those texts instead of making them contradictory? See, I see the problem with people's interpretation that makes a contradiction, not that which is in harmony with each other. I believe the Bible's in harmony, not contradictions. But if you believe some of the very things they're teaching, you find a lot of contradictions. So which seventh day is this? Right there on this chart. Which seventh day is this? Is this seventh day this seventh day? Or is this seventh day this seventh day? Very important questions. Very important. Or this seventh day. Which is it? Which seventh day is it? See, so you've got this one, and this one. So I'm just simply asking, are all those sevens referring to the same day in the weekly cycle, or different days in the weekly cycle? Now, if they're different days in the weekly cycle, we got some serious problems. And on his charts, if they're the same day in the weekly cycle, we got serious problems. Because you're going to see how we can't defend either position. If it is or isn't, we got serious problems. So is this seventh day of the week the same seventh day in the weekly cycle as this seventh day? You see the arrows right there. Or is this seventh day of the week a different seventh day in the weekly cycle as this seventh day? Now, I really hope that the critics and Myles' followers will take time to sit down and say, you know what, maybe I do better look at that thing. I know I don't like this guy that's saying all this. We'll call him names, but it will make him look like a clown. But I'm just really wondering what these days are all about. Wouldn't you want to know what they're all about? But the critics don't want to answer that. Remember, this is his chart, the Sabbath in redemptive history. Now, at what point in time did Saturday come into existence to have been transferred? Now, remember, Myles believes the Sabbath was transferred from Saturday to Sunday at the resurrection. That's what he believes and teaches. So at what point in time did Saturday come into existence to have been transferred? Now remember, the word Sunday and the word Saturday is not in the Bible. We know that. But you know what? When we name the days and look at the days of the week, in which they all do, Sunday, matter of fact, Myles does, he says the Sabbath was transferred from Saturday to Sunday. They don't use the numbers of the days, they use the names that they're called today. They do. Matter of fact, I just made a comment on YouTube about that, and the person didn't want to answer my question about it. Matter of fact, you could see that when I go in and I ask questions, they don't want to answer my questions. They don't want to answer my questions. And then some of the questions they raise, I'll tell them, well, you know, I got a video on that, and I'll be covering that. And then they go on another video and ask the same questions. When they know what I've said. And wherever I have videos that I have covered it, I say, I already covered it on that video. I've already covered it. So at what point in time did Saturday come into existence to have been transferred? Well, now here's a little chart that I put together. Very simple. Not all that other stuff complicated. This is very simple. Creation, end of creation, is the seventh day. And that would be Saturday. Now, I'm not the only one that says that. We're just talking about the names of the days that they're called now. So from creation, remember, Myles says that it was transferred from Sabbath, Saturday, to Sunday, a new Sabbath. So was it with Adam in creation? Is that when it was the seventh day, Saturday Sabbath? Or was the seventh day in the first week of creation Saturday? Was it? Was it there? Was it? Or Moses at Mount Sinai? In other words, when did this Saturday, seventh day, begin? I think that's a very important question because it's the critics who say the Sabbath was transferred from Saturday to Sunday. So did this Saturday start, this seventh day, with Moses? Or did this Saturday, the seventh day that was transferred to Sunday, start with Adam? Was the seventh day of the week that Moses kept on a Saturday? When people argue these and debate these points, it's amazing because they all say that it was Saturday in the Old Testament and a Sunday in the New Testament. That's amazing. So was the seventh day of the week that Moses kept on a Saturday the same seventh day in the weekly cycle as the seventh day of the week that Adam kept? That's a very relevant, important question, you see, and I put it on the paradigm there, or picture, or chart, or whatever. Because what day do the Jews acknowledge as the seventh-day Sabbath? You see, it's one or the other. It's either Saturday or Sunday. That's really the simplicity of it all. It's either Saturday or Sunday. Which is it? It's not Tuesday. Don't tell me that the seventh-day Sabbath is Tuesday. What about Monday? Is the seventh-day Sabbath Monday? Well, what about Wednesday? Oh, Wednesday's the seventh-day Sabbath. Is Thursday the seventh-day Sabbath? What about Friday? Now, we understand the days to be from evening to evening, so part of Friday night would be considered the Sabbath. And then Saturday, the rest would be considered Saturday, according to evening. But of course, the critics go by midnight to midnight. So is there Sunday that they keep from midnight to midnight instead of from evening to evening? Is that what it is? Or was the seventh day of the week that Moses kept on a Saturday a different seventh day in the weekly cycle as the seventh day of the week that Adam kept? You know, if they don't understand what I'm saying, just stop it, pause it, and read it. You got it under control on the YouTube series. You can just stop it in the privacy of your home. Just stop it, look at it, read it, and then answer it. Myles tells us the Sabbath was transferred from not Monday to Tuesday, not Tuesday to Wednesday, not Wednesday to Thursday, not Thursday to Friday, not Friday to what? Myles tells us the Sabbath was transferred from Saturday to Sunday. There it is. That's what Myles believes. That's what Dr. Parker taught. That's what Dr. Kaiser taught. It's transferred from Sabbath to Sunday at the resurrection. So is the Sabbath that Adam kept the same seventh day in the weekly cycle that Moses kept that was transferred from Saturday to Sunday? So let's go back to the chart. Is this first day a type? Now Myles talks about types and antitype. This gets interesting. So I'm simply asking the question, is this first day a type? What about this seventh day? Now, again, I've already asked the question, is this first day the same day as the seventh day according to the weekly cycle? Same day in the weekly cycle. So I'm asking the question to Myles and the viewers, is this seventh day a type? Now let's ask about this first day. Is this first day a type? And then let's ask about God's rest throughout eternity every day. Every day is a Sabbath throughout eternity. No from one Sabbath to another, but all the days even in between. So when you quote Isaiah 66, there are critics that say that simply means week to week. So that means every day is included from one Sabbath to another. So therefore, every day is the Sabbath. Eternal rest every day throughout eternity. So Myles calls this actually antitype. So is this antitype? Right here, Jesus comes again. Then from that point on, all the way through the new heaven and the new earth that's newly created, all the way throughout eternity is God's rest every day. That's what they teach. So then if each one of these are a type, because the questions they need to answer is this the same day in the weekly cycle as this day? Or is it an individual type? So here you've got type, 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 and antitype. Break it down yourself. Hey, you don't have to take my word for it. Audience could do that. They could see if this is a type or that's a type, or if it's just this whole thing from here to here is one type. That would be type and type, then antitype. This here setup would be if that's a type, and if this is not the same day as this would be a type, this is a type, this is a type, and this is antitype. Now that's the way it would be. Unless they could say, no, it's not that way, it's different. So explain what's different, that it's not that way. Look at it carefully. Pause it. If you're watching it on YouTube, stop it, pause it, and look at it and tell me if this is wrong. And then say in the comment section, here's the way it should be. Okay? Dr. Richard Davidson wrote an entire doctrinal dissertation on tupos structures. Tupos. I've never read anything as exhaustive as this one right here. Nothing. I have it right here. This was a doctrinal dissertation for his PhD. And it's right here. And it's on typology in Scripture. And in the Greek text, it's tupos, called tupos structures. That's what it is. Tupos structures. Now, I don't know where exactly how Myles came up with what he came up with in type and antitype. I don't know where he came up with it the way he does. But Myles has never written a doctrinal dissertation like this on type and antitype. I've never read a doctrinal dissertation as in-depth as this right here. So you know what I did? Here's what I did. I have it right here. But here's what I did. I contacted my professor. I had Dr. Richard Davidson back in the seminary. I had Dr. Richard Davidson. And I contacted him, got his email, and I contacted him, and I wrote the word tupos structures. This is what I wrote to Dr. Davidson in an email. And I wrote tupos structures. He knew exactly what I was talking about. And here's what I said. Dr. Davidson, I was a student of yours back in the 90s. I have a question for you. When you did your DD, that means doctrinal dissertation, on tupos structures, type and antitype, where type meets antitype, did you ever find any example in the Bible where it was type meets a different type meets an antitype? An objection against the seventh day Sabbath Saturday. The seventh day was ceremonial as a type. See, that's what they believe. That's why you could change the day from one day to another, because they don't believe the seventh day Sabbath is all moral. Some of it's moral. The principle of observing a Sabbath is moral, but it doesn't refer to the day that's ceremonial. That's what they teach. That's what Myles teaches. So, an objection against the seventh-day Sabbath Saturday, the seventh day was ceremonial as a type, and could change to Sunday, the first day, is also a type that pointed to the antitype of the eternal Sabbath rest in heaven every day. Now this is what Myles teaches. So basically it's type, type, antitype. That is, if you take that one type and go all the way back to the beginning. Remember, he had first day in there and seventh day in there. Okay? Now watch what happens. So basically it's type, type, antitype. Have you ever seen this before in the Hebrew or Greek text? Now remember, this was his doctrinal dissertation. And you have a lot of colleagues who are experts in these fields who you set before when you do your doctrinal dissertation. And they open fire on your dissertation. They don't just accept it. You have to prove what you believe. And I just wish the critics would prove what they believe. So, I ask this question. Have you ever seen this before in the Hebrew or Greek text? I would sure appreciate it if you would respond to my question. Thank you. And then I give you my name, Jeff Dow. Well, immediately he responded. Not a day went by, not 2 days, not a week. No, he immediately responded. And here's what he said. Hi, Jeff. Good to hear from you again. In answer to your question, no. I have never seen the pattern you suggest in which a type meets another type which meets an antitype. The Bible never speaks of the Sabbath as a type. I'm attaching a chapter in my book on the sanctuary, and I have his book. It's about that thick, on the sanctuary. I have it. And I've read that. But I wanted to confirm from him exactly where he stands on, after having done it from Genesis to Revelation, the entire Bible, on two pos structures. Old Testament LXX, Greek text, Greek New Testament, Old Testament Hebrew, New Testament Hebrew. Because there is New Testament Hebrews written by different scholars. Cambridge University puts out a Hebrew New Testament. So it's interesting how I would research and study that particular topic. I would look to see what they all say. So here's what he says. The Bible never speaks of the Sabbath as a type. I'm attaching a chapter in my book on the sanctuary which shows how the Sabbath is separate from the ceremonial system. It points backward to creation, but not forward to its antitype. Now Myles is going to say, well, redemption is the antitype. Redemption. Because of Deuteronomy chapter 5. And in Deuteronomy chapter 5. Okay? Where redemption is what God did with Israel coming out of Egypt. And so he'll say, well, redemption. Well, we're going to look at that another night. It's going to be about redemption. So the Bible never speaks of the Sabbath as a type. I'm attaching a chapter in my book on the sanctuary which shows how the Sabbath is separate from the ceremonial system. It points backward to creation, but not forward to its antitype or to another type. See the first few pages of the attachment, chapter 29 of my sanctuary book, and Appendix A at the end. I hope this helps. And I read it. I went right into it right away and read the whole thing. Amazing what these guys teach about the Sabbath being a ceremonial and moral. Those two in the fourth commandment. But that's the only one. They never refer to any other commandment in the 10 that's ceremonial but the fourth one. So, this first day is actually the seventh day of the week, correct? Now, after having gone through all that I just did, we're going to bring out this point about this seventh day right here that Myles is calling first day under the seventh day. And I'm going to use Myles' transcript, not what I heard on video, not what I think it might have been, not that I misunderstand what he's saying. I'll give you the case in point exactly where the transcript is, and you could look it up and do it for yourself. That's the bottom line. We're going to look. And we're going to look at it in just a minute. So then, is this first day also the seventh day of the week? Very important question. Because he knows that first day is not the seventh day of the week. But we're going to find out what day he calls this first day. We're going to look at that one. You remember I asked the question, is this first day the same first day according to the weekly cycle? I asked that question. So let's see what he says. Never claimed what he, referring to me, said the chart is simply a visual to show how Adam and Eve came into existence, and based on evening to evening, their first day. So watch this. Adam and Eve's first full day of evening to evening. So let's look at that. So that would make this here first full day evening to evening, correct? That's what he's saying. Well, I believe the seventh day is evening to evening. Evening to evening, their first day. So remember, Adam and Eve was created and made on the sixth day, but according to evening to evening, he's saying this is their first full day of existence. Well, I believe that is their first full day of existence. But that first full day of existence is really the seventh day of the week. Let's go back to that. So when you look at this chart carefully, that's what we're going to do right now. Pause, think it through. When you look at this chart carefully, why does Myles divide from Adam's first full day of evening to evening into 7 days from his first full day? Because that's what he did. Here it is. First full day, and then he stops at 7 and starts again. Now follow me through. Think it through carefully. This is his chart, not mine. So let's say that again. This first day, that Adam's first full day, evening to evening, he goes to 7 days and then starts again. 1, 2. All right. So why does Myles divide from Adam's first full day of evening to evening into 7 days from his first full day? That's a very important question. Because you're going to see why I asked that question. Because here's why. If it's evening to evening, that first day, and this is evening to evening, evening to evening, evening to evening, all the way through, why wouldn't it be like this instead of the other way, like that? In other words, evening to evening, first day, all right, so this is evening to evening, first day, full day, second full day, evening to evening, third full day, evening to evening, fourth full day, evening to evening. Why wouldn't that be? It should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, etc. And keep right on going. Because if he counts it from evening to evening as the first full day, then this would be the second full day, this would be the third full day, this would be the fourth full day, fifth full day, sixth full day, seventh full day, eighth full day, ninth full day, all the way through. Yes or no? There's no reason to make it 7 days and stop. Because he's counting it from evening to evening being their first full day. So what's their second full day? What's their third full day? What's their fourth full day? And so on. Do you get my point? Why stop at 7? First full day, second full day, third full day, fourth full day, fifth day, full day, and so on. All the way through. That's his terminology in regard to the first full day, and that's Dr. Kaiser's terminology. The very words he uses. First full day from evening to evening. Well, each one of those days are evening to evening, yes? And so wouldn't there be a second full day and a third full day and so on? Why stop at 7 like Myles did? So what am I going to have to say? Well, I'm going to say he's dead wrong. You see, he never even addressed my second part video, or the third one, and he probably won't address this one either because his friends are probably going to tell him, oh, you can't answer those questions, or maybe his questions are irrelevant. So you don't want to waste your time with that guy. You don't want to waste your time with that guy. But I'll tell you what, he's dead wrong. Myles is dead wrong. He better think it through carefully what his charts are actually doing and saying in regard to the words that he puts on those charts. So let's read it. That first full day, let's read it. All right, so this visible aid is supposed to show how Adam and Eve came into existence, and based on evening to evening, their first day of existence would have been what day of the week? He says it. I didn't make this up. Myles says it. Read his transcript. Again, you could call me all the names you want. Doesn't change what he says. But if they were honest about it, they would look at it and say, well, you know, Myles, you do say that first day of evening to evening that Adam and Eve had is really the seventh day of the week. Myles is saying that. These aren't my words. So what does that mean? That means Adam and Eve's first full day of evening to evening is what day of the week? The seventh day of the week. Myles said it. So when you look at this chart carefully, the critics don't even know what's on these charts Myles is doing. It's just the fact that Myles is against Adventist. So they jump on board with it. They jump on board with it because Myles is against and attacking Adventist. You know, they're going the wrong direction. So consecutive weeks. So here's the way the chart should show the top line. Because Myles says that the weeks don't change, only what changed was the new day, and that was at the resurrection. So that means from creation all the way through. So what would be the next week? Remember, here's the way it was. This is the way his chart says. But if he was consistent about the next week consecutively, the next week doesn't start here. He even says that. So what would the next week look like? Consecutive week would look like this. There's the seventh day. There's the first day of the week right there. Now you tell me if I'm wrong. That's where the week continues. The very next day after the seventh day of the week is what day? Sunday, the first day of the week. That's the way it should be right there. Top line. Top line. So again, when you look at the chart carefully, that's what it should be. And what day is the first day of the week called? It's called what? Sunday. So you have Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Sabbath, Sunday. Now notice this. If you put the chart on the top line, the way the week is designed from the first week, and you start the next day to start the next week, you come here to one and one right there. And guess what? You're going to find out some very interesting things about it. If that's Sunday right there, then what would that be? The seventh day. What day would that be? And if that's Saturday right there, what day would the sixth day be? And that day is called what? The preparation day, correct? Even Myles and Dr. Kaiser call this day the preparation day. They call it that. Well, that's interesting. So they go from 6 to 1. Now they're not considering this the first day of the week. No, they're considering that the first day of Adam's full day. Because the real first of the day, you know, it's like that show they used to have on TV years ago. I remember it, To Tell the Truth. And they'd have 3 people there, and then they would have a whole panel to ask questions, like we're doing, questions, to try to find out which one's the real guy. Would the real truth please stand up? And they would start to stand and then they'd sit back down and then the real guy would stand up. Well, the real truth needs to stand up with these things right here. The real truth. Because think about this. How do you go from 6 to 1? So we know that can't be the first day of the week as like some people would read it. And I know I was reading it that way when I was thinking, and the other guys was reading it the same way. Because he wasn't consistent going through this way with the second full day, third full day, fourth full day, and so on. 8th full day, 9th full day. No, he changed it and stopped at 7 days. That doesn't make any sense. So that would be Friday. So look at it carefully. That would be Friday, according to the consecutive week in that top line of how a week is from creation. So you have Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Yes or no? Look at the chart carefully. That's what it would be. Right there. Because he's saying this isn't the first day of the week. That's just simply the first day of Adam's full day from evening to evening. Then, of course, the second full day from evening to evening. Third full day from evening to evening. And he doesn't count that way. That's a problem. That's a serious problem. That's a defect and flawed chart. Big time. Your words, big time. You see it, don't you? So watch this. Evening to evening, first day, the 7th day of the week. So on the chart, the first day is not the first day of the week, but what? The 7th day of the week, according to the chart. So now there it is, the 7th day of the week. So this is the first full day of Adam down here, pre-fall, first full day of Adam, right there. And Myles tells us that first full day is the 7th day of the week. So viewers, how do you interpret this chart? Seventh day of the week. So now Myles and I'm asking Myles this question. Myles, is this 7th day of the week A, right here where A is, right here? I've already asked this question, but I'm going to ask it again. A, the same day in the weekly cycle as this 7th day, B. This is like a tangled maze. It's like a web. The more you start getting into it, this takes you over here, that takes you over there. It's like a web of deception. That's really what it is. It's a web, it's a maze of deception. It probably takes brilliant people to take something simple and make it complex. Must be a brain. They must really be smart to take something simple and make it complicated. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days takes you right to creation. 7th day, God rested. He didn't rest on the first day. He rested on the 7th day. How hard is that? So I'm going to ask the question again. Myles, is this 7th day of the week A, the same 7th day in the weekly cycle as this 7th day, B? Because remember, he said that first day there is simply the 7th day of the week. 7th day. Not first day. So that's a very important question. Myles, is this first day, A, the same day in the weekly cycle than this first day, B? Is the same day. Of course, now you're going to know that you can't say it's the same day because he said that day is the 7th day of the week. And I guarantee you he's going to say, B, this first day is the first day of the week. How confusing can you make it? So confusing that people get so deceived, they're self-deceived. I'm beginning to understand more what that means as to how people deceive themselves. They'd rather believe a lie than the truth. I'll tell you, Jesus didn't invent all this. No, Jesus, the Holy Spirit didn't invent all this. So, and the viewers could just stop it, read it, look at it, and then answer the question themselves. Myles, is this first day a different day in the weekly cycle than this first day B? Now right off the bat, just looking at the chart all by itself, cleared up, clean, nothing to mine on it, just clean. Wouldn't you almost think that that first day means the same thing as the second first day? Just by the terminology? Just by the words used? It'd be like if I was talking about a certain person and I said their name here and then I said their name here. Would you think I'm talking about one and the same person? It just makes sense to think that they're talking about the same thing. But according to Myles, they're not. In his own chart. Because he called this day the seventh day of the week, not the first day of the week. And I guarantee you, he's going to call this first day the first day of the week. Guaranteed. And if I'm wrong about that, make the comment in the comment section, and I'll make it right. If I'm wrong about that, I'll make it right. Myles isn't going to answer these questions about his chart. His chart. Neither is his supporters. Viewers, you decide. You look at the charts and you decide. That's what I would ask the viewers that are honest viewers. And there's a lot of honest viewers out there. They don't just accept something because somebody says it. I'd like to see Myles' supporters and his followers answer these questions that are raised about the chart. They're not going to touch it. I've not seen one critic or one supporter of Myles touch the questions I've asked about his charts. Not one of them. That speaks volumes to me. I'd at least like to see one of them answer these things that I could say, oh, well, you know what? You got a point there. I didn't quite understand that, but now I do with what you're saying. But they don't even do that. Maybe they're not so sure as what they thought they were about some of this. Let's just call that guy names and stay away from him. Don't mess with it. Wasting your time. By the way, I'm going to ask this. Myles isn't going to answer these questions about his chart. Neither is his supporters. Viewers, you decide. If Myles and his followers had the truth, wouldn't the charts Myles has be the truth? I'd say that's pretty simple. If I make mistakes on charts that I'm putting together, then I would hope somebody would say, oh, well, what about that? Oh, you know, I never thought about that. That's a good point. I'll have to look at that carefully. I've done that before. Somebody says something and I go, oh, wow, you know, that's a good point. Or if they say something, I say, well, you know, that was actually a typo because this is the way it should have been. You see? And so I could say that if that's the truth. And I will say that. I'll say, yeah, that was actually a typo. And I'll go back and show you because look at this same chart over here. You see what I'm saying? Because I don't have just one of the same thing, just one. I always put them around in different parts of the presentation. So if Myles and his followers had the truth, wouldn't the charts Myles has be the truth? And if there are flaws, is Myles' charts should be in Myles' chart? That's one of those deals right there. See that? Right? What I just said. So the very question I'm asking, and if there are flaws in Myles' chart, so that's a typo, isn't it? In Myles' charts. See that? If there are flaws in Myles' charts, wouldn't Myles want to fix it? I would. Just like that right there. Now, I'm going to end up fixing that because it should be in. Right? You see that? Should be in right there. So there's contradictions between this chart in this chart. All you got to do is put them side by side and go through them. Start asking questions about what does this mean? What does that mean? Right down the line. So remember what Myles said. Evening to evening, first day, would have been the seventh day of the week. Is that clear? Is that clear what he's saying there? I'm not putting a spin on it. This is his words, his transcript. I'm not spinning it. This is exactly what he says. Evening to evening, first day, the seventh day of the week. So now let's go on with it. We're about finished. Let's go on with it. Folks, before the fall, man started the week on the Sabbath. After the fall, man ended his week on the Sabbath. After redemption, man starts the week on the Sabbath again. Not that there are three literal different weeks, or that there became a new weekly cycle. With the new creation, no, there's a new day with the new creation. Now that new creation, he's going to say, and that's going to be that first day down here after the cross, meaning that's the first day of the week, Sunday. A new Christian Sabbath in the new creation. So this new weekly cycle, it's not going to happen. Became a new weekly cycle with the new creation. No, there's a new day that God entered his rest after the second creation work, the work of recreation, redemption. That's what he says. So put them side by side. Now remember, he says this first day underneath, number 1 under 7, is really the seventh day of the week. So let's transport that to this chart because that's the first day that he's talking about there. Now, if it's not the first day, explain it. If this first day right here, is not that first, number 1 underneath, then explain what it is. Okay? But remember, Myles calls that the seventh day of the week. Right there it is. The seventh day of the week. The first day of the week, this chart has no first day of the week, Sabbath day on the chart. Why? Because consecutively, number 1 starts the next week. Correct? Yes or no? And when you look at number 1, guess what? All those days under number 1 would not be a Sabbath day. Because right here, he has what's Sabbath days on the chart. Remember, he's saying this isn't the first day of the week here. That's just the first full day of Adam and Eve's life, evening to evening. So if that's not the first day of the week, then the very next week starts after the seventh day. Yes or no? Consecutive week. So the first day of the week, on this chart, there's no first day of the week, Sabbath day on the chart, according to what a Sabbath day is. Now remember over here, I'm going to put on there the way the week should be, all the way through history, from the creation, all the way down through time. And he had pre-fall, post-fall, and restore. But remember, the first day of the week is right here. Right there. So here it'd be right here. First day. Right there. That's what it would be. So if this first day is what is being restored, remember, here's what he says right here, Jesus' restoration. Jesus' restoration. If this first day is what is being restored, then you're restoring the seventh day of the week, correct? Because remember he said that first, number 1, is the seventh day of the week. First full day of Adam and Eve, evening to evening, is the seventh day of the week. So if this first day here, let's look at it carefully. Pause it, stop it on the screen. When you go across this, just stop it, hit pause, stop it, and look at it. If this first day is what is being restored, then you're restoring the seventh day of the week. Correct? I'm not going to answer that question. They're not going to touch that question with not just a 10, but a 20-foot pole. Is this first day the same first day restored, or a different first day than the day that is restored? Right there. That's the day he'll tell you is restored. That's the day right there. First day of the week. That day is the day that was restored. So if 2 different days, then the day restored is not the same first day in creation, correct? So this day here is not this day here, because this day is the 7th day of the week. This would have to be in this column, because the week, he says, is consecutive. Weeks didn't change. Only a new day changed. That's clear down here. Just stop the video, look at it carefully. And again, you could put comments in the comment section where I'm wrong, so I could look at it. I'm willing to do that. I'm willing to correct what I've said wrong. I'm willing to do that. So if 2 different days, then the day restored is not the same first day in creation, correct? So is this first day restored this day, the 7th day of the week? Because this number 1 is the 7th day of the week. So are they talking about the same thing? Just answer the question. It's very simple. So is this first day, right here, that's restored, this day, the 7th day of the week down here? Are you with me? Do you understand what I'm saying? I see you shaking your head. Yes. Do you understand what I'm saying? See, there's the real first day of the week, according to the weekly cycle. So would the real first day of the week please stand up? Will the truth stand up? That would be the real first day of the week. The true first day of the week right there. So is this first day, the new creation, that first day of the week? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And that's a day they call Sunday. That's a day they call Sunday. But do you notice that that first day isn't a Sabbath day? It's not. It's not a Sabbath day. See, there it is, right there. Is that first day a Sabbath? This chart has no first day of the week as a Sabbath day, period. Is that clear? Very clear. And they want me to defend this? I can't defend this. How can I join Myles' teaching if I can't defend this? Now, if other Adventist pastors accept it, that's their business. But I can't. I can't defend this. So if Myles, from these charts, convert other Seventh-day Adventist pastors to accept this, I'm sorry, but I'm not going that direction. That's not me. See, so if you would, all through that top line of consecutive weeks, all the way from creation down to our day, we find the first day of the week they call Sunday. If the first day of the week they call Sunday is a Sunday, then what is the 7th day of the week called? Tell me what it is. This chart has no first day of the week as a Sabbath, period. Not even when he refers to Jesus' restoration. Because the first day of the week is after the 7th day, not on the 7th day. And the reason I believed that the first time around was because he had it broke up in 7s. Right here. First full day and then to a 7. And then on. Why 7? Because the first full day, then there's the second full day, and the third full day, and the fourth full. Do you understand what I'm saying? Using his logic. Using his premise. Evening to evening, first full day. Evening to evening, second full day. Evening, so keep right on going. Don't stop at 7. So this first day restored is not the same first day in creation, correct? That'd be a contradiction. His contradictions in his charts. Contradictions. So when you look at the chart carefully, all days are evening to evening. Yes or no? From creation to this very night. All days, according to the Bible, are from evening to evening. In the weekly cycle. It didn't change midnight to midnight. Evening to evening, all through the weekly cycle. Man, there's people who say, no, the day started in the morning. Not the evening, the morning. And goes all the way around to the next morning. There's people who teach that. And there's people who teach the lunar Sabbaths. It's not the 7th day of the weekly cycle. No, their lunar Sabbath is when the moon dictates to when the Sabbath is. Yeah, but the sun and the moon doesn't give us the reason for why it's 7 days. Why is it 7 days in the weekly cycle? Even they have a hard time wanting to call a day 6 days in between when it's not that in their lunar Sabbaths. So all days are evening to evening. Evening to evening. Right here, the 7th day, evening to evening. The first day, evening to evening. The second day, evening to evening. All the way through is evening to evening from creation. And it's interesting that they accept the weekly cycle of 7 days from creation, but they don't accept that the 7th day is holy from creation. Just like the week is continually going, just not the 7th day. It's not holy. That amazes me. You can't have the 7th day without it being holy from the very creation all the way through time. Because God sanctified, that's appointed the 7th day as holy. God caused the 7th day to be holy. And there's nobody, Myles, and no preacher big enough to undo what God caused to happen. And He caused the 7th day to be holy. In the week. That they go to creation for that 7-day weekly cycle, but want to leave the 7th day holy out. There's no man big enough to change what God has done. So I say to God, I say, Lord, I reverence the 7th day and keep it holy because you made it sacred and holy and sanctified it within the weekly cycle from creation all the way through history. As long as you have 7 days in that weekly cycle, you got the 7th day that's holy. So there it is right there. There's the week. Top line. Even Myles says this is the 7th day of the week. And according to his chart, he's got Sabbath day. This is a Sabbath day. And that Sabbath day is the 7th day of the week. Isn't that amazing? So then the next week starts. Right here's the next week. And then at the end of that week, you got what? 7th day. There it is. Next week begins, top line. And here, each one of these are a Sabbath day, according to Myles. This is a Sabbath day. This is a Sabbath day. That up there's a Sabbath day. That's a Sabbath day. That's a Sabbath day. This Sabbath day. And he's got all these Sabbath days. That's Myles doing in his chart, not me. Because when we go through the chart, we'll discover this 7th day is not the same 7th day as that day. He's got number 1 under that. But look, this 7th day falls on the 6th day of the week. Not the 7th day of the week. So those two number 7s can't be the same day of the week. Is that clear? You see how confusing this stuff is? When you put it together to make it right and make it truthful, look how confusing all those numbers are underneath. Top line is the weekly cycle. God's week is the weekly cycle. Yep. Isn't that amazing? When you take this number 1 and that number 1, and they're different days of the week, and you take this number 7 and that number 7, and they're different days in the weekly cycle, what does that cause? Confusion. Total confusion. So as we close, side by side. So as we close, where on this chart is the first day of the week, Sunday Sabbath? See, because there's the 7th day, and there's the 7th day, because he puts the number 1s under the 7, right? So where on this chart is the first day of the week, Sunday Sabbath? Wouldn't you think he would have the first day, Sunday Sabbath, on this chart? Redemption, new creation. So I would ask, where on this chart? Where is it at? First day, Sunday Sabbath. I'd like for Myles to point to the chart and say, this is right here, or that is right there. On that chart. So when we look at this chart, where on this chart is the first day of the week, Sunday Sabbath? He's going to have it right there. Right there. That's where he's going to have it, right there. Okay? But notice he has resurrection right there. That's sure confusing to me. Resurrection right there lined up with the cross. It would have been better off if he would have put resurrection over here under the first day. Yes or no? He'd have been better off if he'd have done that. There's a lot of problems with these charts. A lot. So where on this chart is the first day of the week, Sunday Sabbath? He's going to say right there. But don't have a resurrection here. Put it over here. Wouldn't you think so? Is the first day of the week, Sunday Sabbath, here? Right there. That's where it's going to be. How is the first day of the week, Sunday Sabbath, restored when it's not even on this chart? And this is where he has Jesus' restoration. Where on this chart is this first day of the week, Sunday Sabbath? That chart right there. I pointed right to it. Because he said this isn't Sunday Sabbath here. So where's it at? Because all those 1s are underneath 7. Which he says is the 7th day of the week. Oh, it's a redemptive, historical, visual aid. Well, I'd say he better modify and fix that visual aid, or I don't know how he's going to. Several problems. So if Sunday Sabbath is the first day of the week restored on this chart, where is it? That's my question. That's my question. If Sunday Sabbath, the first day of the week restored, is on this chart, is it here and is it not here? Where is it? You know, if somebody asked me these questions, and this was my chart, I would be saying, man, I never thought of that question before. Let me fix it. Let me figure out what you're saying to make it right. That's what I would do. I've had people say, you know, this quite doesn't look right here. So you know what I do? I think it through. I study it out to see if what they're saying is correct. And then if what they're saying is correct, guess what I do? I fix it. Wouldn't that be the right thing to do? Wouldn't that be the honest thing to do? There's more videos will be coming. We're going to look at several more things. The next one, we're going to go into Bible texts. We're pretty much finished with all the chart stuff. If I haven't made it clear and you don't see it clearly on the chart, then just stop it and put it in the comment section. You said this, and just show me on the video where I said that. And here's what the chart's saying. And that's very simple. Just correct it right there in the section, comment section. Very simple. But we got more videos that will be coming. And the next one we're going to look at several statements by Dr. Kaiser on Bible texts. And we're going to see what he says about Genesis, what he says about Mark, and what he says about Hebrews chapter 4, and what they say about the Lord's Day in Revelation 1:10. We're going to be looking at that the next few times. All right, well, let's go ahead and have prayer. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we just thank you for this evening. We thank you again, Lord, for being able to go through these things and learn more about what is truth. And we just thank you for your Holy Spirit as you continue to lead in these studies. In Jesus' wonderful name we pray. Amen.